The arrival of Europeans in the Americas brought with it a wave of change, a tide that would forever alter the landscape and the lives of its native inhabitants. These indigenous people, the Native Americans, had thrived for centuries in a delicate balance with nature. Their world was one of respect for the land, for the spirits of the earth, and for the traditions passed down through generations. But this harmony was about to be shattered. The newcomers, driven by ambition and a thirst for land, saw the Americas as ripe for the taking. What began as exploration soon transformed into encroachment, then into outright seizure. Treaties were made and broken, promises whispered and forgotten as the inexorable march of European expansion rolled westward. The Native Americans fought back, of course, defending their homelands with courage and desperation, but they were outmatched. Their arrows and spears no match for the guns and cannons of the invaders. Their numbers too dwindled, decimated by diseases brought from across the ocean, illnesses against which they had no immunity. The Mississippi River, mighty and meandering, had always been a lifeline for the Native American tribes of the East. It provided sustenance, a means of transportation, a connection to the sacred grounds of their ancestors. For many, it also marked a boundary, a natural barrier beyond which they hoped the worst of the white man's greed would not reach. But the relentless tide of westward expansion would not be stopped by even the mightiest of rivers. Federal policies, fueled by a belief in manifest destiny, the idea that the United States was destined to control the continent, pushed Native Americans ever westward. One by one, tribes were forced to relinquish their ancestral lands, their homes, their very way of life. The journey was arduous, fraught with hardship and death. The Trail of Tears, etched into the collective memory of the Cherokee Nation, stands as a stark reminder of the brutality inflicted upon these people. Forced to march hundreds of miles, often in chains, thousands perished from disease, starvation, and exposure. Their crime? Daring to exist in a land coveted by others. The saga of the Native Americans is a chronicle of broken treaties, of solemn promises made and casually discarded. The United States government, eager to expand its territory and exploit the resources of the West, engaged in a pattern of deception and coercion. Treaties were signed under duress, often with terms that were impossible to meet or later reinterpreted to suit the government's needs. The Indian Removal Act of 1830, a dark stain on American history, epitomized this betrayal. It authorized the president to negotiate with Native American tribes for their removal to lands west of the Mississippi River. Though presented as a voluntary exchange, it was anything but. Tribes that resisted were met with military force, their villages burned, their people driven from their homes. The Trail of Tears, the forced removal of the Cherokee Nation from their ancestral lands in the southeast to present-day Oklahoma, stands as a searing indictment of this policy. Thousands died on the journey, their bones left to bleach along the way. It's a journey etched in sorrow, a testament to the devastating impact of greed and broken promises. Section 4. Death on the Plains, the Osage Reign of Terror. The Osage Nation, once powerful and prosperous, found themselves thrust into a new kind of nightmare in the early 20th century. Having been forced onto a reservation in Oklahoma, they had unexpectedly become wealthy due to the discovery of oil beneath their land. But their newfound wealth attracted a different kind of predator. Killers of the Flower Moon, a chilling account of this dark chapter, reveals how a conspiracy of greed and murder gripped the Osage Nation. White opportunists, driven by avarice and envy, systematically targeted the Osage, killing them off one by one to inherit their oil wealth. The Osage, once warriors who commanded respect, were now prey, hunted on their own land. Law enforcement, often complicit in the crimes, turned a blind eye. The reign of terror only ended when the newly formed FBI took on the case, exposing a web of corruption and brutality that shocked the nation. But for the Osage, the scars of that era, the loss of so many lives, would linger for generations. Section 5. Scars on the Land, Echoes of Injustice. The story of the Native American conquest is not a tale confined to the history books. Its legacy lives on, etched in the landscape and woven into the fabric of American society. The forced removal of Native Americans from their ancestral lands disrupted their cultural practices, their languages, their very way of life. Generations have grappled with the trauma of displacement, the loss of identity, the struggle to preserve their heritage in the face of assimilation. Today, Native American communities continue to face challenges. Poverty, lack of access to healthcare and education, and the ongoing fight for sovereignty and self-determination are just some of the issues they confront. The echoes of injustice resonate, a stark reminder of the human cost of expansion and the importance of remembering and learning from the past.